Now that we know how to connect to a database, I want to show how to write information in the database. And so I wanted to create a form where the user can fill in a product name, and I wanted to communicate that information from the browser to the server, and on the server I want to print it out, and then if I like also insert it in the database. So let me do that. The first thing I do is that I want to define a very simple database table, one with only one field. And so I want to have db define table. I call this table product, and I have a single field that I called product name. Okay, that will do for this very simple example. Now I want to generate a form that users can fill in. So I go here and I do an other controller. I call it, I could do it in the index controller actually, but I want to call it add. The endpoint, and I want to say that the action uses db auth user, so that I first log in, and it's available at that.html. Okay, and so that's the template that is used, and I want to say def add. Originally, let me worry just about producing the form first. So I say return an empty dictionary. Returning a dictionary means that you will fill in a template with the content of the dictionary. The content of the dictionary is nothing. That means that the template will always be the same, but that's okay for us. And so the template will contain so the template will contain here, okay, it's empty at the beginning, and I want to put the form in it. So first I say div enter product name, so that this prompts the user for entering the product name, and then I do another div just for beauty, and in it I put a form. Now the form, I have an action that says where the form should be submitted. Imagine that this is sort of the return address if this was an envelope, right? And so here, I don't want to hardwire the URL. I want to create it with a URL helper, because if I say here add as the URL, actually I have to use single quotes not to conflict. The URL that will be generated will be actually simple form/add. So this piece here refers to the place in the controller that is the endpoint. But the URL helper will prefix this with the application name, so forming the complete URL, given that Py4 Web can serve multiple applications, okay? So form is, the action is equal to this, and I can say that the method is equal to post. I can tell you later the difference between doing forms via post and get, but I can tell you that in general we will always be doing forms that are post transmitted to the server. So here, to keep Bulma happy, I have to do div of class is equal to field, so that it knows that this is a form field, and I want to put a place where the user can type the product name. So I will do input. Input tags are used to define these fillable areas on the screen that I'm sure you have seen. Class is equal to input is again to keep Bulma happy and have it nicely configured. Then I can say that the type of the entry is equal to text, because the product name is text, and this tells the browser which type of values are allowed in that particular field. And then I say name is equal to product name. So when the information is sent from the browser to the server, this product name will be the name of the place where the text that fills in this input will be transmitted. Okay, I can put a placeholder if I want that can say something like write product here if I want. Okay, but this is it. And you see, this is a self-closing tag. There is no begin input and then the input tag. An input tag closes immediately, and so it closes with this notation generally. Okay, then I want to put a submit button. The submit button is again an input element. So it's an input element of type is equals to submit. Okay, so an input element of class type is equal to submit will cause the submission of the entire form. So when people click on these, the entire form will be submitted to the URL specified there. Okay, I say that the class is equal to a button because I want to keep Bulma happy again and put it nicely. And the value I want it to be equal to submit. This is a text that will appear inside the button. Okay, so that's my form. Essentially, the form has a URL to which it is posted, a method used for the posting, and then it has various input fields in it. Some input fields are for truly accepting input, such as this one, which is of type text, and it will send its content via product name. This other input is of type submit, and so it's simply the button that causes the overall submission. Okay, so I can do this. I can restart Py4Web, always watching for errors, right? There are none in this moment. Yeah, okay. Then I can go here to simple form add. Okay, I can load this URL. It asks me to sign in. Okay, then I can say banana. Okay, I want to add the banana product, and I click on submit. Actually, let me look at the network, what goes on the network when I click on submit. That will be instructive. So I keep an eye on all the requests, so I click on submit. Okay, I get a method not allowed. Great. Let me fix that later. In the meantime, this is the post, and we can see that in the request, okay, we can look at the request, and the payload is product name is equal to banana. This product name is precisely this. Okay, so essentially what we sent is a kind of dictionary encoded in the payload of the request that encodes the product name is equal to banana. Okay, now so the information is transmitted correctly. The problem is that we got in response, oh you have to see, but we got in response an error 405 that says method not allowed. Why? Well, the problem is this, that this is a post request. I wish, I'm sorry, that it would be easier to see, but this is a post request. I think we can see it in the headers. It's a post request. But in our definition, here in the controller, we didn't say anything, and by default this accepts only GET requests. So here we have to say method is equal to, and we have to give both GET and also POST. Okay? And if we want to actually process that request, we have to be slightly more sophisticated. And we have to say something like this. Well, if the request method was a GET, then actually we have to return the empty dictionary. Else, this is a form submission. And so we have to decide what to do. The first thing I want to do is print out who the user is and what is the form content. And so I do print user, and I say get user email using that convenience function. And then I say product, okay? And here there is a request, and now you wonder rightly, great, request what? So we know that in the request, the form data contained product name banana, but how do I read it once I am in the code, right? So you have to remember that Py4Web has been created on top of bottle.py. And so if the request object of Py4Web is essentially the request object of bottle.py. So what you do is that you go here in the bottle.py reference documentation and you look at all the methods of the request object. There are many methods, okay, there are many things you can do with it, and one of them is params, a form dictionary with the combined values of the query and of the forms. Okay, so in params you can find all the arguments transmitted. We could also use forms, actually. Forms values passed from a URL encoded or multipart form. Okay, so we can use one or the other. Let's just use params. So request.params .get so product name. This should print out the product name. So once we print it out for diagnostics, we can insert the product in the database. And here I can simply use db.product.insert, and I can say product name is equal to request params get product name. Okay, so the same field. This will insert it in the database. And then once the form is processed, I don't want to return a web page. I want to redirect the user to a URL that is just the same URL where I'm from. This is, we always redirect after successful form processing. The reason is this. We never want a web page to be the result of a form submission. I'm sure you have been in one of those bad websites in which you submitted a form, for example, to schedule an appointment. This gives you a confirmation, and when you try to reload the confirmation, you get this silly message. Would you like the form to be resubmitted? To which the answer is no, I don't want to make 2 appointments. I just want to reload the confirmation page. The problem is that if a page is produced as outcome of a form submission, the only way to reload that page is to resubmit the form. And you don't want that to happen. So the correct way of processing forms is to ensure that each time a form is processed correctly, you actually redirect the user to some other place so that the result page can always be reloaded. This is all the more important now that the mobile web is so widespread, because often your phone will decide to delete the content of some browser's tabs in order to save memory and reload them on demand. So your confirmation of the appointment, say, would be it would need to be reloaded just because you go back to that tab, and it would be extremely annoying not to be able to see your appointment confirmation because you don't want to resubmit the form and make another appointment, right? So that's the general flow. So let me show how this works. I can fill in banana, submit it. Okay. Now look at the request. The post had a status tree of 3, which is a redirect. Let's look at it actually. This is the request payload. The product name is banana, and the response was, there was no response, because if you look at the headers, the response was a redirect to the site simple form add. Okay, so we get this redirect each time the form is correctly processed. And if we go look in the dashboard, okay, we can look at the database content, not this. I would have, let me select the simple form app. Okay, if I look at the database content here, there is this product database, and if I look at it, there is one product that is a banana. So here I can go and submit a peer. I can go here, and if I refresh, there is also a peer. So this works, and I can now add the simple products. Okay. So again, in concluding, I wanna emphasize this is a typical way to process a form. It's an endpoint that can receive both a GET and a POST request. The GET request produces the web page and contains a form to be filled in. I return, in this case, an empty dictionary. It's not necessarily empty, but it's used to fill in this template that creates the form. Okay. Instead, the post request generates a form processing event. In this case, I print out the diagnostics. You can see that I'm adding a banana and an appear. I'm inserting the product in the database. And once I'm done, I'm redirecting the user to a safe place where the page load will happen via GET. So this is the basics of form processing. And what I want to show you is that first there is a security vulnerability here. And I want to describe it and show you what it is and how to remedy it, essentially. And then I want to show you how we can easily build forms for more complicated database tables so that we don't have to actually create them by hand in this way, even though we can, but there are more convenient ways available in Py4Web. So that's in the next units.